In the early stages of the film, Ed Hoffman, in conversation with his CIA higher-ups, details how terrorists are forsaking modern technology. They're opting to discard their phones and computers in favor of traditional methods like in-person meetings and written messages for communication. This regressive approach by the terrorists, reverting to more primitive methods, ironically nullifies the assets Hoffman typically relies on and amplifies his reliance on Ferris and human intelligence. Roger Ferris serves as a CIA paramilitary operations officer stationed in Iraq with the mission to locate a terrorist known as Al-Saleem. During a pursuit stemming from a lead, Ferris loses his trusted contact, with whom he had forged a close bond, in a harrowing car chase involving terrorists, rocket-propelled grenades, and 2 U.S. helicopters armed with missiles. After recovering from his injuries at a U.S. facility in Qatar, Ferris is dispatched to Jordan to further pursue intelligence obtained in Iraq. Simultaneously, unidentified terrorists plan to escalate a series of bus bombings, initially in Sheffield, with intentions to strike in Manchester. However, their plot unravels when law enforcement authorities discover their cell, leading to a self-inflicted explosion. Ferris and his supervisor Hoffman exhibit starkly different personas. Ferris places great emphasis on personal relationships and relies extensively on trust and human intelligence. On the other hand, Hoffman adopts a more Machiavellian approach and employs a Sikorsky Cypher UAV to keep tabs on Ferris. Upon arriving in Jordan, Ferris promptly dismisses the ineffective station chief from his office before meeting Hani Salam, the head of the Jordanian General Intelligence Department, GID. Salam and Ferris develop a delicate yet intricate rapport. Salam is keenly aware that regardless of his opinions on Ferris, his foremost allegiance is to his country. Conversely, Ferris operates under the banner of the CIA, whose interests may not always align with those of Jordan. Salam's sole request of Ferris is straightforward: to never deceive him. Hoffman identifies an Al-Saleem safe house in Jordan and instructs Ferris to discreetly conduct surveillance on it. Simultaneously, he dispatches another operative, Skip, on a mission without Ferris's knowledge. Unfortunately, Skip mishandles the operation, inadvertently exposing his cover by revealing sensitive information to a terrorist from the safe house. As the terrorist makes a run for it, determined to disclose the compromised safe house, Ferris gives chase. In the pursuit, Ferris is bitten by dogs, but ultimately, he manages to kill the fleeing terrorist. Hani orchestrates a cover-up, portraying the incident as a robbery gone awry. Meanwhile, Ferris confronts Hoffman about these undisclosed side operations and urges him to back off. While recovering in the hospital, Ferris encounters a nurse named Aisha. Amidst their meeting, the backdrop of terror continues to unfold, exemplified by a cell phone-triggered bombing at an Amsterdam flower market, claiming the lives of at least 75 people. After identifying one of the occupants of the safe house as the notorious suspect Mustafa Karami, Hani escorts him out to the desert. There, he employs a combination of coercion and persuasion, compelling Karami to work for Jordanian intelligence. Hani issues a veiled threat, warning Karami that unless he cooperates, he'll be framed as a collaborator. Unknown to Karami, Hani had been sending money to Karami's mother, disguising it as if it came from her reformed and thriving son. Consequently, she remains unaware that Karami is still engaged in criminal activities and is now aspiring to be part of Al-Qaeda. Karami experiences a mixture of shame and astonishment when Hani chooses not to execute him, allowing him to ride away on his bicycle. Hoffman requests Hani to surrender Karami to the CIA, likely for interrogation purposes. However, Hani firmly declines, as he had earlier conveyed to Ferris's opposition to the use of torture. Unbeknownst to Ferris and Hani, Hoffman instructs Ferris's CIA colleague to tail Karami and abduct him. Despite Karami's escape, he manages to alert the terrorists in the safe house, leading to the building's ignition and subsequent abandonment. Ferris's partner is apprehended, prompting Hani to express his belief that Ferris was aware of the operation involving Karami. Consequently, Hani places blame on Ferris for not being forthright with him, which he believes ultimately led to the destruction of the safe house. In response, Hani issues an ultimatum, giving Ferris a mere 12 hours to vacate Jordan. Ferris returns to the United States for a period and engages in a heated argument with Hoffman, mocking him as power-hungry and overweight. He then devises a plan to establish contact with the terrorist Al-Saleem by orchestrating a substantial terrorist incident. The rationale behind this scheme is that Al-Saleem will catch wind of the attack and attempt to reach out to the group responsible for it. With the assistance of one of Hoffman's acquaintances within the CIA, Ferris successfully frames a Jordanian architect named Omar Siddiqui. He poses as a financier overseeing a bank's construction project in the UAE, thereby making it appear as if Siddiqui is the leader of a terrorist cell. The staged terrorist attack takes place at the Incirlik Air Base in Turkey. A bomb is detonated on the base, and Ferris employs unclaimed local bodies dressed in military uniforms to create the illusion that soldiers were casualties of the attack. Al-Saleem catches wind of the incident through news reports and attempts to establish contact with Siddiqui. Hani urges Ferris to return to Jordan, recognizing that he requires Ferris' assistance. In their conversation, Hani expresses his suspicions about Omar Siddiqui potentially being a terrorist. Ferris conceals the truth, feigning ignorance regarding Hani's concerns. Later, Ferris attempts to thwart the abduction of Siddiqui by Al-Saleem's henchmen but tragically fails, witnessing another CIA agent narrowly escape death in the ensuing car crash. Siddiqui, under duress, confesses to Al-Saleem that Ferris manipulated events to make it appear as if he orchestrated the terrorist attack. As a consequence, Siddiqui meets his demise. Returning to his apartment, Ferris makes a distressing discovery. Aisha, the woman he has a romantic interest in, has been kidnapped. He urgently implores Hani for assistance, disclosing that he fabricated the existence of Omar Siddiqui's terrorist cell and that the supposed terrorist attack attributed to Siddiqui was a staged event. However, Hani, feeling betrayed by Ferris' deception, refuses to lend his aid. Ferris receives a call from the kidnappers instructing him to await a van. The van arrives, transports him to the desert, and then departs. Simultaneously, at CIA headquarters, Hoffman closely monitors the situation through an unmanned aerial vehicle. Ferris is subsequently picked up by a convoy of SUVs, causing a substantial dust cloud as the vehicles disperse in different directions. Hoffman finds himself unable to track Ferris since he has no knowledge of which car he boarded. Ferris is transported for interrogation by Al-Saleem, just beyond the Syrian border. When Ferris inquires about Aisha, Al-Saleem reveals to him that he has been deceived and betrayed by someone. Ferris discloses that there's an infiltrator, Karami, within Al-Saleem's organization, working covertly for Ferris. Consequently, Al-Saleem is effectively working under Ferris' influence. In a brutal act, Al-Saleem shatters two of Ferris's fingers with a hammer. He then activates a video camera, instructing Ferris's execution. Afterward, Al-Saleem departs, leaving Ferris in the hands of his men, prepared for execution to be recorded on video. As the moment nears, Hani and his team of Jordanian special forces storm into the room, swiftly neutralizing the terrorists. Al-Saleem is spotted exiting the building and unknowingly entering a car driven by Hani's operatives, who promptly apprehend him. In the hospital, Hani pays Ferris a visit and discloses a startling revelation. It was his operatives who abducted Aisha. They utilized the blood she regularly donated at her workplace to stage a scenario in which she appeared to be either injured or killed. Subsequently, Hani orchestrated a transaction with Al-Saleem, utilizing Karami as the go-between. The agreement was for Hani to deliver CIA agent Ferris to Al-Saleem in exchange for a substantial sum of money. It was one of Hani's operatives who contacted Ferris and left him in the desert. Given Karami's affiliation with Hani, embedded within Al-Saleem's organization, he managed to locate Ferris and Al-Saleem in time to rescue Ferris and apprehend Al-Saleem. Aisha has been released unharmed, although she remains unaware of the extent of her kidnapping's role in the broader scheme. In the conclusion, Hoffman extends a job offer to Ferris within his office. However, Ferris declines the offer and informs Hoffman of his decision to leave the CIA. Hoffman, recognizing Ferris' resolve, prepares to depart Jordan, understanding that Ferris has made up his mind. As the film concludes, Ferris appears to choose not to reach out to Aisha, contradicting Hoffman's repeated assertion throughout the movie that no one is truly innocent. In a separate scene, Hoffman communicates with CIA operatives who are observing Ferris in a market, where he is seen purchasing pastries, reminiscent of the ones he had brought to Aisha. Hoffman announces that Ferris is no longer an asset. The movie leaves it up to the audience to interpret whether Ferris opts to let Aisha lead her own life or whether he will re-enter her world once again. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to watch more videos like this. Thanks and see you again soon. Take care.